The defining reality of the 2026 enterprise landscape is a bottleneck. We see near total deployment of artificial intelligence at the top of the corporate funnel, but only a fraction translates into banked financial returns. This graphic illustrates the scope of that deployment. According to the Stanford AI Index and the latest McKinsey data, 88% of enterprises report deploying AI within their operations. The technology is essentially ubiquitous. But the bottom of the funnel tells a different story. Across 4 independent commercial datasets, only 5 to 12% of these same organizations are capturing measurable enterprise value from those deployments. This gap proves a critical point for our practice. Measuring software licenses, seat counts, and individual employee tool adoption does not measure organizational maturity. A firm of AI-fluent employees without an organizational capability structure is still operating at the bottom of the maturity ladder. To capture the transformation pipeline, we must abandon generic, input-heavy readiness surveys. Those tools measure intention and software spend. Our clients need a diagnostic that measures embedded capability. Capturing transformation revenue in this market requires a scoring instrument built on financial reality and verifiable artifacts, not on self-reported software adoption metrics. For the last 3 years, consulting firms have tried to differentiate by inventing their own unique names for maturity categories. That strategy is obsolete because the industry has already reached a structural consensus on what needs to be measured. When you strip away the marketing labels, both the major commercial consultancies and neutral bodies like NIST, ISO, and MITRE have independently converged on the exact same core nucleus. They all evaluate organizations across 6 specific dimensions. The fragmentation you see in the market today exists entirely in how these dimensions are branded and mathematically scored. The dimensions themselves are undisputed. Spending resources inventing a proprietary 7th or 8th category ignores the reality of the market. Our clients don't need a new list of nouns. Our competitive differentiator is the mathematical rigor of our scoring instrument. We are taking the consensus dimensions and applying a diagnostic logic that forces a client to confront their actual bottlenecks. We build our diagnostic on a shared public domain spine. It consists of the 6-dimension consensus nucleus and a 5-level capability ladder. Here is the baseline. The first 3 axes evaluate foundations: strategy, data architecture, and governance. The remaining 3 evaluate execution: talent, operating model, and value realization. We map maturity onto a 5-level scale, from ad hoc experimentation up to level 5 transformative redesign. This exact 5-step progression originates from the Carnegie Mellon CMMI Institute. It is the uncredited ancestor of every major maturity model on the market today. Standardizing on this shared spine removes friction in the sales cycle. We spend 0 time debating category names, allowing us to immediately diagnose operational bottlenecks. This is where our instrument separates from the rest of the market. We score using a proprietary mechanic we call the constraint gate. Consider a client heavily invested in AI enablement, scoring level 4 on strategy and talent, but their data and governance controls are stuck at level 2. In our model, their overall maturity score is mathematically restricted. It cannot exceed its lowest foundational score. Standard consulting models take a flat average of all 6 dimensions, artificially inflating the client's readiness and silently hiding structural risks that can compromise an entire deployment. The constraint gate stops that. When you present a readout to a client, you do not present a single composite average. You present the full dimensional profile and explicitly flag their binding constraint. There is one exception. If a client with low foundations successfully posts verified, bankable P&L value from a single use case, you allow an override. But you document the override alongside the specific foundational risk they are carrying to achieve it. This gating mechanism alters the entire advisory conversation. It mathematically dictates that clients must fund and fix their foundations before we will advise them to scale. Our scoring rubric is not static. As a client matures from level 1 to level 5, the weighting of the dimensions must shift to reflect their operational reality. This graph charts that shift. Foundational weight starts high and slopes down, while value realization curves sharply upward, peaking at level 5. To score high, we require hard evidence. We assess if outcome metrics are explicitly defined, instrumented, and P&L linked. We focus on evaluating this discipline rather than looking at lagging ROI figures, because discipline is fully scorable in real time. It separates the 29% of executives who have the telemetry to measure returns from those flying blind. Shifting the rubric's weight to P&L discipline validates the client has built a truly embedded capability, filtering out organizations suffering from the adoption impact illusion. We operationalize these scores using the Maturity Service Alignment Matrix, converting a diagnostic result into a sequenced engagement pipeline. When a client hits the constraint gate at level 1 or 2, the matrix aligns them with data cataloging, MLOps, and centralized policy setup. Your instruction is to aggressively sell these foundational capability builds. You must explicitly refuse to sell them advanced workflow reinvention until these floors are built. For clients successfully clearing the foundations to reach level 4 and 5, the playbook shifts. Here, we align the engagement with cross-functional operating model reinvention and agentic autonomy scaling. For these advanced clients, we introduce the agentic overlay. We assess their readiness to add policy as code and autonomous workflow governance to their existing operational structures. There is a specific commercial strategy behind this overlay. Evaluating an organization against autonomous capabilities moves the technological frontier forward. This mathematically rescores highly capable clients downward. The downward rescore accounts for a shifting technological frontier. It identifies new operational gaps that provide the logical bridge to the next phase of the transformation lifecycle. The matrix eliminates guesswork. It automatically translates a diagnosed bottleneck into the exact service contract the firm must pitch. To outmaneuver competitors in the field, partners must implement strict disclosure discipline during the sales cycle. You must warn clients that any rival consultancy attempting to sell a NIST maturity score or an ISO maturity level is peddling a proprietary overlay disguised as a neutral standard. Give them the facts. The NIST framework explicitly states that it publishes no maturity levels or checklists. ISO 42001 is strictly a binary conformance certification. You either meet the standard or you don't. Neither provides a 1 to 5 scoring ladder. Contrast their marketing-based overlays with our rubric. Show the client that our scoring is evidence-based, gate-constrained, and mathematically rigorous. Strictly disclosing the technical origins of these scores establishes the firm as the most objective, trustworthy authority in the room. Looking ahead to January 2027, the market will undergo 2 structural shifts. First, value realization will harden from a simple segmentation label into a rigorously enforced scoring access across the entire industry. Second, agentic AI will evolve. It is moving from a top-tier capability into a net new governance substrate. This new substrate will require organizations to rebuild their governance floor entirely around non-human identity, kill switches, and automated authorization chains. The final directive to consulting leadership is clear. Stop competing on framework categories. Start competing strictly on the rigor of the scoring instrument. Run the mechanics of the playbook. Gate clients on their foundations, score strictly from artifacts, and map the exact bottleneck to the service matrix. Adhering to this mathematically defensible approach ensures we capture, sequence, and dominate enterprise transformation sales through 2027.